How are you doing, guys? In Japan, we have the policy of child allowance benefit for dependent children to reduce financial burden of each household for children's education costs. So this policy pays 15,000 yen monthly per children in households with middle school age child and under, but there is a primary condition to get this benefit from the government, which is income limit requirements. So in order to provide equal opportunities for all the households in Japan in terms of this child allowance policy, the household that have earnings more than a certain amount annually, this policy cannot be applied to those households, so they don't get this benefit from the government at all. So in short, if you are rich, you can't get this benefit from the government. But if your income is normal or lower than normal, you can get this benefit from the government. So here this kind of simple reason. So there are pros and cons about this issue, but recently the Japanese government changed the stance and started to support abolishment of this income limit requirements for this kind of child allowance benefits for countermeasures against declining birth rate in the Japanese society. So it is said that many lawmakers in the ruling party, including Chief Cabinet Secretary Motegi, are insisting on the abolishment of the income limit requirements for child allowance policy. So over this issue and the government's stance, we have divided opinions about this issue in terms of whether we support continuation of income limit requirements or abolishment of this. So, according to the recent survey about child allowance policy from the government, the percentage of the answers that supported continuation of this income limit requirement was 56%, and the percentage of the answer that supported abolishment of this was 33%. So according to the government officials, recently the Japanese government has started to discuss about this issue to abolish this policy condition in the early future. So probably the dispute of this issue among people comes from the aspects of pork barrel elements clarified by abolishment of the income limit requirements in the background that may give negative effect to profitability of primarily balance in the future, which is one of the most important agenda for Kishida administration. So, and sometimes the Prime Minister Kishida tells us about the tax rate increase after abolishment of this income limit requirements for this, child allowance benefits. So there are so many opinions. There are so many opinions that child rearing measures should not be a political tool for achievement of political goal. As one of the reasons that support abolishment of this income limit requirements for child allowance benefit, there is a problem. There is a problem of living standard related to taxation policy. So as you may know, progressive taxation is installed in the Japanese society, and progressive taxation is installed in Japan's income tax system. So progressive taxation is, simply speaking, the more money you make, the more tax you need to pay. So people who earn a lot of money pay more tax than people with normal income, right? So substantially, the living standards with take-home salary after tax deduction is not actually different between normal income earners and high income earners, especially among the people whose annual salary range is from 5 million yen to 10 million yen. So their complaints, they contribute to Japanese society, Japanese government through high tax payments. It is really strange that they can't get this kind of benefit from the government in spite of all this contribution, as well as other normal and low income earners. So in the situation of commodity price hike, and in the situation of no salary increase in Japan, people who earn 10 million yen are also on a tight budget to raise children in the Japanese society now. So even household with annual earnings more than 10 million yen that applies to the income limit requirements of child allowance policy, it needs to bear huge amounts of financial burden on children's education costs from elementary school to high school, including a prep school for going to university or college. So in my opinion, perfect free education policy is a fundamental solution to realize ultimate fairness in a child rearing, regardless of how much people make money. So this child allowance policy that gives money to each household is temporarily on-the-spot measures that doesn't bring sustainable solution and sustainable social profit in a Japanese society. So this policy is still an important part of things that doesn't even have a room to change something drastically.